Wonder Twins, Iron Man, Illuminati. We've got a lot of new comics in this week's Top 10 Hot Comics. I'm Brad, I'm with Rock Shop, and today we're going to go over the top 10 hottest comics of the week, and I'm going to let you know with my 30 years of comic collecting experience, my 8 years of being a comic shop owner. I'm going to give you my advice. We're going to analyze these, see if these are something that you should jump at, if you should get, if you should sell. Kind of give you tips to kind of elevate your comic collecting and investing game. So before we get started, I want to invite you to subscribe to our channel so you get all the latest updates with comic buying and selling tips, our top 10 list, and we also talk about music stuff too if you're into bands and rock and metal and punk. So make sure you subscribe, like, share, and comment. Want to hear your opinions. So let's get started. All right, coming in at number 10 on our list is the new Avengers Illuminati, number 1, the second printing. Okay, this currently has a fair market value, or FMV, of $39.49. This really popped when they announced or speculated that the Illuminati was going to be in the new MCU Doctor Strange movie. It's a second printing, and the cool thing with this is traditionally second printings were not really worth as much as the first printing, but nowadays sometimes the second, third, fourth printings, they actually have more of a limited print run than the initial first printing. It's on a comic to comic basis, but just because it's a second or third or fourth printing doesn't mean that it doesn't have value. In this case, this is a second printing of it, and the last sale, this was recorded 2 days ago, was 50 bucks. Raw comic is $39.49. This is something, if you can find in bargain bins, go into your comic shops, it may be in a back issue, because just a few months ago, this was a $1 or $2 comic. So this is something that you can scrounge through those back issue bins, and maybe you can find one for a quick flip. Now, as far as long-term value for this, I just don't see it. This is something, if you do pick one up, or if you already own it, it may be a good time to sell it now, or again, find it cheap and flip it quick. Number 9 on our list is Amazing Spider-Man 88. This is the first appearance of Queen Goblin. This has actually come down on the list, but this is the third week in a row where it's been in the top 10. For me, this is a first appearance of a Spider-Man villain. You don't know how big this villain is going to get, but it's got a killer Art Adams cover. FMV is $13. It's pretty cheap, so I would say go ahead and buy this, even at the $13, $15 range. It's not a huge investment, and really it's probably not going to go down much, but it can only go up. Also, the FMV is $139 for a 9.8. This is something that's probably not hard to find in a 9.8. So if you can find it cheap, so just think, you can buy it for 15 bucks, do a quick press, and then flip it for 140, 150, or again, it may even go up from there. Next up at number 8, we've got Wonder Twins number 1. Warner Brothers has just announced this is going to be a movie, so anything Wonder Twins has really gone up. This is I believe their first solo series that they had. This came out, I'm guessing, in 2019. But anyway, this is her first solo series. We've got a raw comic FMV value of 20 bucks. So this is something, again, look in your comic shops. They may have it at cover price. Go back issue diving. Now, I probably wouldn't buy it for 20. If you can get it in the cover price to $10 range, it's probably a good investment. I don't really see the long-term value because this isn't a first appearance. This is just a first solo series. So if you can get it cheap, go ahead and get it. So this is something a few weeks ago before the announcement. This was a cover price comic. So go into your comic shops, see if they still have it in their back issues. Again, if you can get it cheap, pick it up. I wouldn't buy too high on this because it's only their first solo series. It's not a first appearance or anything like that. At number 7, we've got the new Avengers Illuminati number 1. At number 10, we have the second printing. This is the first printing. FMV is $36.70. The FMV for a graded 9.8 is 100, which isn't great. Again, the Illuminati is apparently going to be making its appearance in the Doctor Strange movie. It's a super group with all the really smart MCU characters like Doctor Strange and Black Panther and Black Bolt. The really smart guys that are kind of the puppet masters behind the screen. Now, the thing with this, and we can just look at the history. So let's go look at historical sales data. Okay, if we look at the graph, you can see this huge bump. 12/13 is, or February 13th was when they announced that, when the news came out that it's going to be in the new Doctor Strange movie, and you can see the huge spike in sales. And most of these initial sales are going to be super cheap. You can see that this was a $3, $4, $5 book, $2.50 back in December and January. And then all of a sudden, you're going to see, if we get to show more, we're going to see some cheap ones down here. The cheap ones are going to be people buying up all the cheap copies. Okay, and then you can see the sudden spike in price. I imagine these really lower prices are going to be probably lower grades, but you can see where it's gone up to 50 bucks, 30, 37, 35, 43, 39.99, 29.99. Now, this is not the first appearance of the Illuminati, but stay tuned for that. Okay, at number 6, we have Iron Fist #1. This is a comic that was just released last week, and the current FMV value is $15.67. Go into your comic shop, see if they still have any left. It looks like a new character. I haven't been reading the new Iron Fist, but I don't think it's Danny. I can see his hair color is different, so it looks like a different character. I'm not seeing a key issue indicator, which makes me think this is not his first appearance. Again, I haven't read anything Iron Fist or really anything Marvel that recently, so I'm a little bit out of the loop on this. Again, if you can pick it up cover price, this may be a good one to get, especially if this character really resonates. If they're going to relaunch an Iron Fist series, Disney Plus has the rights now. Everything's going from Netflix to Disney. Who knows? Maybe he'll appear in the Disney Plus MCU or the movie MCU. At number 5, we've got Extreme Justice #9. When I saw this, I was like, what? What the hell is this? Because I didn't get it. But then digging a little deeper, this is actually the first appearance of the Wonder Twins in DC continuity. Okay, their actual first appearance was in the Super Friends comic series that was based on the Super Friends cartoon. Now, it was Hanna-Barbera, and saying that's an animated series is a little bit of stretch due to their crude animation. I love the Super Friends series as a kid. It was so cool. It's so cool seeing like Batman and Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and then you had these other characters like Apache Chief. So this is where they were first introduced into the regular DC continuity. So before that, they were in the comic series based on the kids' TV show, and nothing there actually affected the real DC Comics universe. So I'm telling you, before the Wonder Twins movie was announced, this was a dollar comic. You could go into your bargain bins. I'm sure this is off of a lot of people's radar. Go in, go through those back issues, go through dollar boxes, and you may be lucky to find this. It's at a FMV of $29 right now. Now, if we look at the data, historical data, again, it's just like with the new Avengers Illuminati. We go up until February 14th when the announcement was made, and then all of a sudden you see almost zero sales to a big spike. Again, these initial ones you can see here in January, September, July, these were all like $2 each. And you had that at the initial announcement. These are speculators and dealers and flippers buying these for super cheap online and then flipping them. So you can see where the initial low prices are the ones that just reacted too slow. And let me tell you, as a dealer, it would always frustrate me when I wake up in the morning, I find a comic that I've had for years on Amazon totally sold out with all copies gone from one person. And again, it was so frustrating because you almost feel like they got one over on you. At the end of the day, it was me not focusing on what was going on around me and reacting quick enough to change my pricing to reflect on the events happening around me. So if you look at the prices, you can see pretty steady: $37.99, $35.99, $29.99, $39.99, $35, $25, $39.95, $24.97, a 9.4, $20, 15. That's probably, again, that was on the day this happened. Those were probably ones that reacted quickly. They didn't want to sell all theirs at super cheap, so they reacted quickly, and they just still kind of underpriced it, because at that point, you're kind of guessing. So this one, I really strongly recommend. I wouldn't buy this high because it's technically not their first appearance. However, it's something fun to go into those comic shops, especially at one of those huge stores like a Books A Million or a Second & Charles, where they're not going to have staff going back and pulling these books out. As far as graded FMV, No data yet. Again, this was a dollar comic just a couple weeks ago, and now it's a $30 comic. People have not had time to submit it and get those graded comics back yet. My guess, probably $100, $150 range for a 9.8. But I guess we'll see. At number 4, we've got Something is Killing the Children, number 21. This is the Ashcan. Okay, Ashcan are like little bitty mini comics. They're like a comic book form, but they're like this big, and they're usually only a few pages. They're usually typically not really sold. A lot of times these are given out as like promotional materials and things like that. I'm not sure exactly what the story was with this, but typically they're a little bit more rare, but typically they're not super collectible. But you know what? Almost everything Something is Killing the Children is collectible. So here we go. It's got an FMV of 146. The latest raw sale was 150. Again, this is too soon to have anything graded. I'm not even sure if they can grade ash cans. Well, probably it would fit, but it'd be teeny tiny. Okay, and actually hit a high, the highest known raw sale was 200 bucks. So if you can see, if you can find one, get it. I don't know about the long-term value of this, so this might be something if you have it, it's hot right now. Go ahead and flip it. Number 3, we've got New Avengers number 7. Remember when I said stay tuned when I was talking about the New Avengers Illuminati? Here you go. This is the first appearance of the Illuminati. So New Avengers number 7. This has been on the top 10 list for a week or two. And here we go. First appearance of the Illuminati. Trending a little bit downward. Again, this got hot like a few weeks ago. It's gone down a little bit, but it's got a FMV of 73.60. This one has always been sort of hot. Everyone knew it was kind of a key, but it was for a long time, maybe $10, $15 raw. Let me say even $5 to $15. If you could stress the first appearance aspect of it, you could probably get a little bit higher back then. But as of now, 73.60. But look at the FMV value of a 9.8. $602. This is something, if you can get it, again, I always say buy low, but if you can get it pretty cheap, affordable, if it's something that you can press out that's a 9.8 candidate, go ahead, press it, sell it. Okay, at number 2, and this is the shocker of the week, and this confused me so bad. You don't even want to know how confused I was with this, because I see this 0, number 1, and I was like, what is this? Even more with Extreme Justice. And I look at the price, $1.75, so this is kind of like in the 90s, probably mid to late 90s. And again, I've been collecting for 30 years. I own a comic shop. I have never seen this book before. Never. In my thousands, in my few hundred long boxes of comics that I had, and all the collections that I bought, I have never seen this before. Never. It blows my mind. So why is this super obscure DC comic that no one has ever heard of suddenly the number 2 hot comic? Well, if no one's ever heard of it, that means it probably had a pretty scarce or small print run, which evidently it did. And they've also announced a new, I'm not sure if it's a new series or a movie, but this has been optioned, which means 0 went from 0 to hero. And we're looking at right now a raw comic value of 81 bucks. Right now we're looking at a raw FMV value of $81. No information as far as graded sales, because no one even took the time to get this graded, because it was essentially worthless until they make the announcement. So again, looking at sales data, no sales up until 2/18. And again, not only this, you had a sale, you had like one sale in February 5th at $3.20. And wouldn't you hate to be the guy on the February 5th that if he just held on just a few weeks later, that's totally my luck. But then you didn't have a sale before that until July of 21, then June of 21 a couple times, and then back in February. So you're looking at this selling just a handful of times a year. That's how like worthless this book was. But now all of a sudden it's optioned, and boom. Again, looking at this, you've got one for 50 cents in June, 320 in July. And then again, right here, these are the people that had it that did not react quick enough. These $3 books all here, just Too late. They didn't know. And who would have thought? Who would have thunk? But then you can see the explosive growth from 218. This is really where people started to catching on and increasing their prices. Went up to $49, $50, $100, 105, 113. This 295. It could have been a low grade book, or it could have been someone that just posted it without even checking first. $113. Okay, so my recommendation on this, if you can get it at a reasonable price, this may be something good to get. Again, just because it's been optioned doesn't mean that it's actually going to be made and come out. Even if they shoot a pilot of something, that doesn't mean that it's going to actually see any airtime. I would hate to buy it when it's already high, but maybe if you can get it at a decent price and send it to CGC, get that high grade, get that 9.8, and if this hero takes off, if Zero becomes a hero, then this could be pretty cool. And our number one hottest comic of the week is Superior Iron Man #1. This was kind of during the whole Avengers Now, or maybe the all-new Marvel Now. Not Avengers Now, Marvel Now. You had Marvel Now, then you had the all-new Marvel Now, and you had these different iterations of it. But this is the first appearance of this new Iron Man armor, which apparently is going to be in the Doctor Strange movie. Again, something that you could have gotten, something that you can look into your back issue bins at different comic shops. They may not have pulled this out and increased it yet, but raw comic value FMV is 45. 9.8 sold for 35, and I'm thinking this was before this announcement. That's probably old, but that kind of tells you how, again, valueless this was until they made this announcement. Because I saw this comic when it came out, and Superior Iron Man was not a big seller for us. So we'll see how this goes. It is interesting that FMV of a 9.8 was 35.72. I imagine if we look at the sales data, this was before the announcement. And the actual FMV is, for a raw comic, is actually $10 more than the graded comic. My take on this is that the graded FMV on cover price reflects old data. You probably didn't have many people submitting this to CGC since it was a low value book. Maybe unless they had it signed, like if you had it signed by Stan Lee or something like that, maybe you would. But otherwise, there probably were not that many that were even submitted. I imagine you'll see 9.8 sell at a much higher price with this coming out in the MCU with this new armor. Okay, so that's it for my analysis of the Cover Price Weekly Top 10 Hot Comics. Again, this is all data-driven with my experience from being a 30-year comic collector and a comic shop owner of whether you should invest in these or not. So remember to subscribe to the channel if you liked it and you want to get all our latest updates with our new episodes. If you liked it, click the like. Please leave a comment. I really want to hear your opinions on these. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I'm crazy? Just let me know. So that's it, and I'll see you next episode.